Inclusive theatre for young audiences, for me, is around ensuring that anybody can be an audience member, an artist, or even a participant within theatre. Inclusive in terms of the stories we tell, in terms of the artists we work with, and sort of the experience those young people have. I suppose the reason we make our work inclusive is from a very personal perspective, really. As a disabled artist growing up, it was around experiencing those barriers myself, and also not seeing people like myself reflected in theatre. Our day in Sweden, we focused on work by disabled performers for both disabled and non-disabled audiences, work for disabled audiences that was a much more multi-sensory approach, and we also looked at work by skilled writers that wrote plays, etc. about disability, again for both disabled and non-disabled audiences. At Kazzum, most of our work is around inclusive casting and ensuring that disabled performers, artists, writers have an equal footing within the organisation and gel together. And for me, that's because it allows a lot more of creative options. Those different people with those different experiences bring their ideas and their creativity to the rehearsal room, and I think actually that enhances and can bring a lot more life and depth to our work. By having that sort of inclusive approach means that our work is actually being seen by a much wider audience than before. You know, working in this way doesn't mean that we always get it right. You know, just like any form of creativity, you're always learning and you're always adapting and changing and finding new ways to make something beautiful. I think with when working inclusively, we have to realise that sometimes we're not always going to get it right. And actually, like anything else in life, you learn from your mistakes. The moments that you think you've got it right is when actually the area of disability isn't really part of the equation. Over the last 10 years, I would say that I'm seeing more people open to trying this area of work, open to the sort of more inclusive approach. Over the last 10 years, a lot of special schools have been closed down, and young people from those schools have been more integrated within mainstream education. So I suppose a lot of artists are coming in contact a lot more with young disabled people, and I suppose that's making them think a bit more about their approach and their work. There's a fear of getting it wrong, is that sort of initial barrier in, you know, about how do you do it, what terminology to use, what if I get it wrong? And I think that's the main barrier. And I think if people started looking at it as any other sort of creative approach, we don't go into a creative approach worried about if we get things wrong. So I think that is probably one of the main barriers to preventing people, the fear of getting it wrong. I think in the UK we're quite advanced in this approach to inclusive theatre and the sort of representation of disability much wider in society. But I think the next thing that needs to happen for inclusive theatre and for young audiences is for more people just to experience it. One of the things that may be holding inclusive theatre back is just a lack of understanding. Is that it goes back to the idea of artists and theatre makers not really knowing where to start, and I think if people just gave it a go, then actually it would ripple out. If I was to give one piece of advice to somebody who wanted to work inclusively and didn't know where to start, would be A, to go and see some work. Just there's plenty out there, go and see it, and speak to people. The companies that are making it are always quite happy to sort of share their knowledge and advice. And thirdly, you just have to bite the bullet and give it a go.